Hello everyone, I'm so excited to be a part of the Save the Crafty YouTuber video hop. Thank you so much to Justine for putting this all together, and I hope you enjoy my Copic marker tutorial. In this Copic tutorial, I'm going to be using this Picket Fence Studio stamp set called I Love You Mama, and I've stamped my image in Memento Desert Sand ink so I can get that no line technique. And I've stamped it onto some Copic Express It blending card, which is my favorite paper to use when I'm coloring with my Copic markers. So for these cute little geese, I'm going to be using the colors E43, E42, E41, and E44. And then for the beaks, I'm going to be using YR14 and YR12. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and color the mama first, and I'm going to be using my E43. I color from dark to light, so I'm going to go ahead and add the shadows to the darkest point, and then we're going to work our way down to the lightest color. So I'm going to start by using my E43, and I'm going to place a shadow right underneath the neck, right along the bottom part, since there's a little arch and it's coming down across the front of the chest. We're going to go ahead and put a shadow right there. So I'm just going to lightly go and trace right along the outline. And then it's going to just kind of taper off. Then we're also going to be putting a little bit of a shadow underneath the wing here, and also along the bottom part of the body. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and grab E42. I'm going to go in the exact same areas. I'm just going to pull the color out a little bit more. So I'm going to come out just a little bit farther with each new lighter color. So I'm just going to come right along the side of that E43. And then come down just a little bit further. Same thing right here underneath the wing. And we're going to come up a little bit higher right along the shadow along the bottom part, and then get a little bit thicker along the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take E41, and we're just working our way across, filling in the goose a little bit more each time. Same thing down here. We're going to go ahead and just give a little flick, pushing that color out, pushing that darker color out, so that way we have that nice blend between each new lighter color. So now I'm going to go ahead and leave the white space that we have, because I want that to be the absolute lightest part. So since we've gone down and made with each new lighter color, we've kind of gotten rid of a lot of that shadow. So we're going to go back and add a whole nother coat, but this time I'm going to start with my E44, so that way I can just define that shadow just a little bit darker. But I'm going to be a lot thinner than I was the first time when I first added that E43. So very, very lightly, I'm just going to outline the outline of the image, and a little bit of color goes a long way here. You don't even, right in there, I actually skipped a little spot, not on purpose, but it's going to work fine, because when I lay down that E43, it's going to pull it all the way through. So you don't have to go back and touch up if you have a little bit more of a heavier hand, or you feel like you're going to get too thick. Okay, so I'm going to do the same exact thing down here. And the same on the bottom part of the body. And notice I'm kind of skipping a little bit of area right underneath on the wing and along the bottom part of the body, so that way we can have a little bit of a feathery texture. So now I'm going to go back with my E43 And again, trace right along that shadowed area. And again, I'm trying to create a little bit of texture, so I'm kind of skipping spots and kind of flicking in towards the dark part, just so we have, like I said, that just that little bit of texture going. And then same thing down here and along the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to take my E42, still try to keep that texture going, so I'm just going to add a little flick so it's not going to be a solid line while I'm tracing. And the same for the wing. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go back with my E41. I want to get a nice little blend on that E42 that we have, so I'm going to pull some of that color down. And I'm going to be kind of streaky because, again, I want to create that texture. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm just going to give a little flick so I could pull some of that E43 and E44 and E42 out. So that way I'm pulling that color and kind of dragging it across. And then I'm going to go in the same direction as the way I believe the feathers are going to go along the body. So I'm going to have them just kind of wrap around. So I'm just going to add a couple of little flicks so I could create some texture. So I'm going to go up the wing this time because I feel like the feathers are going to go in a different direction right in here. So I still have a lot of white gaps between, and that's fine. That's what we want. We want it to be a little bit lighter. Okay, so there's a lot of texture going on. So now I'm going to go with my E40, and I'm going to do the same thing, creating that texture, but I'm going to go more towards in the areas that are not filled in. So just right along the opposite side of where we just added that really dark shadow. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, just adding some more texture. Okay. So now I'm going to take my W00 because it's a little bit lighter and it has more of a brown tone than using a C or an N. So it's a warm gray. It's the lightest color, the lightest gray that there is in the W's. And I'm just going to, again, make a couple of little flicks just right along the edge, right where we stopped with that E42, where you can still kind of see where that shadow ends. So I just want to kind of blur it out, still doing that kind of that flicking motion so I can still keep my texture. All right, I'm actually going to go back with my E41 a little bit and do the same thing. I'm just going to start right at that shadow, and I'm going to do a little bit of a larger flick just to pull some more of that color out. All right, so I I'm really happy with that. I think it looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do the beak and the feet. So I'm going to take my YR14, and since this shadow right here, we want to keep that same shadow. We don't want to go ahead and put a shadow over here. We want to be consistent where we put them with where we put them. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little line tracing where the beak ends, and also all along underneath the bottom. And then I'm going to take my YR12 and just pull up that color. And once I have that nice blend between the two colors, then I'll go ahead and just fill in the rest of the white space. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more shadow to it. So let's go ahead and take some E43. And we're going to just trace right along the bottom and right up the top. And then we're going to replace that E43 with the YR14. So we're going to be making it a darker version of that YR14. And then again with the YR12. And I'm going to go back with my E44 and just make that little dot for the eye a little bit more noticeable. So we're going to color that rose on her head pink, and we're also going to, since the stamp itself has a solid stamp for the leaves, we're just going to go ahead and trace those. So I'm actually going to take my YG13 and I'm just going to trace the leaf. And then I'm going to take my YG17 and right where at the end of the leaf towards the bottom, I'm just going to make two little flicks going up, so that way we have a little bit of dimension and a little bit of a shadow going underneath the rose. So now I'm going to take my R32 and right where the outline is of the image, and I'm just going to kind of trace where the shadowed area of the rose is, since it's already kind of there from the stamp. And then I'm going to take my R30, and I really want to keep that shadow there, so I'm just going to go one swipe over to fill in the rose. I'm not going to try to blend that out, so that way I have some dimension. So for the feet, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did for the beak. We're going to start with our YR14, and directly underneath the body, we're going to make it the darkest. As it comes out, right along the bottom of the foot there, we're going to have it get a little bit thinner. Same thing on this side. So now I'm going to go back with my YR12, blend this out just a little bit. Once it's nice and blended out, then I'll go ahead and fill in the rest of the foot. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more of a shadow. So with that E44, I'm going to come out right below the body, and again right on each side of the foot and I'm going to have it kind of taper off and going in both directions. Same for this foot over here. And then we're going to repeat the YR14. And we're going to repeat the YR12. Okay, so now we're going to color the little guy over here. So let's start with that E43. We're going to go ahead and make the shadow on this side of him, since his mom would be casting a little bit of more of a shadow on this side. And then all along the bottom and the wing. Then I'm going to take my E42. I'm going to come out just a little bit more. And then my E41. And then my E40. So I'm just going to do one swipe over, since the baby geese and ducks and chicks, they all really look really soft and fluffy and feathery. So I don't want to add too much of that feathery texture to him. So we're going to go back and we're going to repeat. I'm going to start with my E44 and we're going to add just a little bit more of a shadow. So I'm just going to start at the tail, add a couple of little flicks there, and right at the neck where it's the darkest point. And then I'm going to take my E43 and then my E42 and then E41, and I'm just going to do a heavier flick across the body just to pull some of that color. And since we already have the E40 down, it should blend nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it where it is. So now let's go ahead and do his beak and his feet, starting with the YR14. And it's a lot smaller, so we're going to be very careful. And then with the YR12, we're just going to fill it in. And then I'm going to go back and add a little bit more of a shadow. Take my E44, go right underneath the body and on the inside part of the mouth. I'm going to go back with my YR14 just to pull out that darker color a little bit. And it's such a small area. I feel like I don't need to go back and add my YR12. If you're following along with me and you feel like it looks kind of blotchy and you need to add some more color, you could go ahead and add some more color. Okay, so I'm going to get some colors together and we're going to go ahead and make a little lake right behind these two. First, let's go ahead and take that E44 again so we can add a little bit more definition to the little guy's eye, since we kind of lost it using that desert sand Memento ink. So I've gathered B14, B12, B00, and BG11 to start with our lake. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put where the back end, so the part that's the farthest, so the more back it goes, the higher it gets on the paper, that's so it continues, so it looks like it continues. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball it and just go right across. And the same thing, we want to just kind of continue it on the other side of her. So this is going to be the back part. So I'm just going to make it a little bit darker because wherever it's farther away, we want it to make it look like it's going even farther. So adding some darker colors in the background will give us that look of distance. So now I'm going to take my B12 and I'm just going to go over these lines a little bit, just kind of blending them out. Be very careful going around the beak. And then it's going to get lighter as it gets closer. And then let's go ahead and take some B00, and I'm going to continue making these lines. And then I'm going to take my BG11, and all the areas that are white, I'm just going to lay my BG11 across till there's no more white. And then we'll have it continue over here. And let's go back with our B14. Since we've gotten a little bit light by using all those other lighter colors, it's kind of taking away from our depth that we created earlier. So I'm just going to add a couple little flicks. And then again with my B14, I'm sorry, B12. Okay, I'm gonna go back with my BG11 because I feel like my line is a little off. And I feel like it needs to be a little bit darker. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my BG09 and just give a little trace right on the very, very end of where the blue starts. Then I'll add a couple little lines. Same thing on this side over here. And it looks like it has a little bit more distance now. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and make a little bit of dirt and some grass. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out my E30. We're just gonna add a little bit of a shadow right along the bottom of the little geese. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take my E40, so E0000, and I'm just gonna soften the edge up a little bit. So I'm very lightly just grazing across the paper just to give it a little bit of texture and color, and it blends out that shadow. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my YG17 and YG13, and I'm just going to make a couple little spots of grass. So just a couple little scribbles. And then I'll take my YG13, kind of repeat that and come out a little bit more across the edges. Same thing over here. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit of color to the sky. So I'm going to be using my BG000, so BG000. I'm going to have it be a little bit darker going along the top. So I'm just going to flick going right off the paper and going towards the center. And as I come down, it's going to get a little thinner, so it's thicker and more color is going to be along the top. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my BG40s. Just so I could pull it down the side a little bit more and towards the center. So we really want the focus to be these two little geese. So I don't want to get too crazy with the background, but having that ocean in the background really makes these two come to life and really gives this scene a lot. So just want to add a little bit of color to the sky. And let's go ahead and add just a little bit more of that BG000. All right, so it looks like all we need now is our sentiment. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on using Copic markers and the Picket Fence Studios I Love You Mama stamp set. If you want more Copic marker tips and tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. I also offer a free Copic e-course, and I'll leave that in the description below. I also wanted to thank Justine for putting the Save the Crafty YouTuber hop together. Make sure you comment on as many videos as you can, and please let us know where you are from. There's over 50 prizes to be won, so good luck to you all. Please leave your comments by June 5th, and Justine will be posting the winners on her YouTube channel on the 10th. Have a wonderful day today and enjoy the hop.